800 meters down, where the pressure would fold a human rib cage like paper, a squid is commuting to work. What does it take to survive in a place where the ocean itself becomes a crushing fist, and do it twice a day, every day, for your entire life? The Humboldt squid, Dosidicus gigas, does not just live in the deep, it travels through it. Every night, these 6-foot predators rise from depths where the pressure exceeds 4,000 pounds per square inch, ascend through the oxygen-starved twilight zone, and emerge near the surface to hunt in water warm enough for humans to swim in. Before dawn, they reverse the journey. They sink back into cold so severe it approaches freezing, into darkness so complete that most animals have abandoned vision entirely, into pressure that would turn a styrofoam cup into something the size of a shot glass. For a human, this would be like climbing Mount Everest and descending back to sea level every single night just to eat dinner. Except the Humboldt squid does it in water, where pressure does not drop. It compounds, and somehow, it does not implode. The first thing to understand about deep-sea pressure is that it is not like the pressure you feel when someone pushes on your chest. It is hydrostatic pressure, the accumulated weight of all the water above you pressing inward from every direction at once. At 800 meters, the depth where Humboldt squid spend their days, the pressure is roughly 80 times what we experience at the surface. It is enough to compress gas, collapse air pockets, and force water molecules into places they should not be able to reach. A submarine at that depth has to be built from reinforced steel with walls several inches thick. A human diver would be crushed before they reached a quarter of that distance. The squid has no armor, no reinforced hull. Its body is soft, muscular, almost gelatinous in texture. And yet, it moves through these depths as easily as a bird moves through air. The reason is equilibrium. Unlike a submarine or a human, the Humboldt squid doesn't carry pockets of air inside its body. Humans have lungs. Fish have swim bladders. These are spaces filled with gas, and gas is compressible. At depth, the pressure outside these cavities far exceeds the pressure inside them, and the result is collapse. Your lungs would be crushed flat. A fish's swim bladder would implode, or require so much energy to inflate that the fish would exhaust itself just trying to maintain buoyancy. The Humboldt squid has abandoned this system entirely. It doesn't have a swim bladder. It doesn't have lungs. Its body is made almost entirely of muscle, connective tissue, and fluid, materials that are largely incompressible. The pressure inside the squid's body matches the pressure outside. There's no imbalance, no crushing force. The squid doesn't resist the ocean's weight. It equalizes with it. But equilibrium only solves the mechanical problem. At the molecular level, pressure does something far stranger. Deep-sea pressure does not just compress space, it alters chemistry. Water molecules, normally content to flow freely, begin to bind aggressively to proteins and enzymes under high pressure. They coat the surfaces of these molecules, preventing them from folding correctly or interacting with the substrates they are designed to process. Cell membranes, which need to remain fluid and permeable to function, become rigid and cracked, like butter left in a freezer. Enzymes that would normally catalyze reactions essential to life simply stop working. For most organisms, this is a death sentence. But the Humboldt squid has adapted at a chemical level. Its cell membranes contain a higher proportion of unsaturated fatty acids than shallow water animals. These fats are more like olive oil than butter. They stay flexible under pressure, preventing the membrane from becoming brittle. This keeps the cell's transport systems functional even when the ocean is pressing inward with the force of a hydraulic press. Inside the cell, the squid produces high concentrations of a molecule called trimethylamine oxide, or TMAO. This compound acts as a shield. It binds to proteins and prevents water from coating their surfaces, allowing enzymes to fold correctly and function even under crushing pressure. TMAO is found in most deep-sea animals, and its concentration increases with depth. The deeper the animal lives, the more TMAO it needs. Snailfish, which live at the absolute limits of vertebrate survival nearly 8,000 meters down, have so much TMAO in their tissues that they would smell overwhelmingly fishy if brought to the surface. The Humboldt squid likely smells the same way. But here is what makes the Humboldt squid's survival even more remarkable. It does not just endure one pressure environment. It transitions between extremes. Twice a day. When the squid ascends from 800 meters to the surface, the pressure drops by a factor of 80. For a creature whose internal chemistry is calibrated to function under crushing force, this is catastrophic. If you were to bring a deep-sea animal to the surface rapidly, it would effectively explode. The pressure inside its body, which had been in equilibrium with the deep, would suddenly far exceed the pressure outside. Gases dissolved in its tissues would expand. Fluids would boil. The animal would rupture from the inside out. Fishermen know this. If you catch a fish from depths greater than 30 meters and reel it up too quickly, its eyes will bulge grotesquely from its skull. Sometimes they burst. The swim bladder, if the fish has one, will expand until it tears through the fish's mouth. It is a violent decompression, and it is usually fatal. The Humboldt squid makes this journey every night, and it survives. We do not fully understand how. Part of the answer likely involves the squid's metabolic system. Research by molecular biochemists Kenneth Story and Hanane Hajmusa has shown that Humboldt squid can enter a state called metabolic rate depression when they descend into the deep. They essentially hibernate while awake. Gene expression across most of their genome is suppressed, turned down like the volume on a radio, while a select few genes responsible for survival under stress are activated. This reduces the squid's oxygen requirements, slows its metabolic processes, and allows it to conserve energy in an environment where both oxygen and food are scarce. The mechanism behind this is epigenetic. The squid does not change its DNA. It changes how that DNA is read. Chemical groups attach to histones, the proteins that DNA wraps around, causing the DNA to coil more tightly. When DNA is coiled, it is inaccessible to the cellular machinery that transcribes it into proteins. Genes effectively shut off. In the deep, the squid's body becomes a dormant version of itself, running only the systems essential to staying alive. When the squid ascends to hunt, the process reverses. The histones release their grip, DNA unspools, genes reactivate. The squid's metabolism surges back to full capacity, providing the energy needed for the violent, coordinated attacks that Humboldt squid are known for at the surface. This is not a slow transition. It happens in hours. The squid is essentially reprogramming itself on the fly, adjusting its internal chemistry to match an environment that changes as drastically as moving from the bottom of the Mariana Trench to the surface of a swimming pool. And it does this every single day for the 1 to 2 years it lives. There is something unsettling about that time frame. Humboldt squid do not live long. They do not have extended childhoods. They do not learn from parents. A juvenile squid, only months old, will make its first descent into the deep with no prior experience, no guidance, and somehow its body will know what to do. The epigenetic switches will flip, the metabolic suppression will engage, the squid will survive. This suggests the behavior is largely genetic, hardwired. But the flexibility with which the squid responds to pressure changes, the speed at which it adapts, implies something more. There is a responsiveness here that goes beyond pure instinct. We are watching an animal that operates at the edge of what biology allows, and we still do not know where the limits are. Sperm whales, the deepest diving mammals on Earth, can reach depths of 2,500 meters. But they must surface frequently to breathe. Their lungs collapse under pressure to prevent damage, and they rely on oxygen stored in their blood and muscles to survive the dive. They are visitors to the deep, not residents. The Humboldt squid is something else. It is a commuter. It lives in two worlds simultaneously, the warm, oxygen-rich surface where prey is abundant, and the cold, pressurized abyss where most predators cannot follow. It exploits both environments, switching between them with biological machinery we are only beginning to understand. And there is evidence that the squid's adaptations go even deeper than we have measured. Other deep-sea organisms produce mysterious compounds, molecules like serine phosphoethanolamine X, whose concentrations increase with depth, but whose functions remain unknown. These compounds appear to protect proteins from hydrostatic pressure in ways that TMAO alone cannot. The deeper you go, the more of these molecules you find. Scientists suspect they represent an entire class of pressure-adapted chemistry we have not yet begun to catalog. The Humboldt squid almost certainly produces some of them, but we have not looked yet. What we do know is that the deep sea remains one of the least understood environments on the planet. We have mapped more of the moon than we have of the ocean floor below 200 meters. The animals that live there, the squid, the jellyfish, the fish with gelatinous bodies and eyes adapted to near-total darkness, are doing things we can observe but not fully explain. Their biochemistry is alien. Their adaptations challenge assumptions we have held for decades. And the Humboldt squid, with its nightly migrations through pressure gradients that would destroy human technology, is one of the most extreme examples. Somewhere right now, hundreds of meters down, a squid is sinking into the abyss. Its metabolism is slowing. Its genes are shutting off. The pressure is building. It will stay there in the cold and the dark until night falls again and the hunt begins. We know it survives. We are still learning how.